Good afternoon, everybody. You triskaidekaphobiacs. Yes, triskaidekaphobia is the fear of Friday the 13th, but we don't fear anything on this show. Why? Because I've got Jack Bauer. New name, Cyber Sheepdog Extraordinaire. We're expanding, and this will now start becoming the Sheepdog Parent podcast and whatever we're calling this show. So here's what we're going to do. I've decided to go a different direction. Still about being a benevolent dictator, but sheepdogs are benevolent. They're also dictators because they run the flock. So what I want to do is I wrote this up, I posted this, and I had some folks actually starting to repost this. So let me tell you what my change in philosophy is. And then I'm going to tell you why. And then I'm going to get into a story today about happy wife, happy life, also works for teenagers. And I'll tell you why. So let me tell you this. What is a sheepdog parent? There are wolves and sheepdogs in this world, and there is a fabulous essay written by Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman on sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs, and it's a post 9/11 mentality. But those of you who have been in law enforcement, in the military, you get what I'm saying, which is the sheepdog is what stands between the sheep and the wolves. Now, if you're a sheep and know you're a sheep, that's fine, but you need the sheepdog. Let me tell you why. So what is a sheepdog parent? And this is what I wrote. So I'm going to read it a little bit. So just a little bit of, give me just a little bit of latitude here. But a sheepdog lives to protect the flock and confront the wolf. But look, as a sheepdog parent, you must also confront the wolf. This wolf may come in the form of cyberbullying, sexting, social media suicide, or addictive technology. So what is a sheepdog parent? Sheepdog parent has 5 core principles. Realizes every day there is no safety in denial. Lives to protect the sheep and confront the wolf. Never negotiates the safety of the flock, ever. Makes the conscious moral decision to be the example every day. And dedicates themselves each day to equipping and preparing for confrontation with the wolf. Now, being a sheepdog parent is a choice. So is being a sheep. Wolves do not concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. It doesn't matter what you think or believe. It matters what you do about what you think or believe. So your choice is simple. You a sheep or a sheepdog? And if you are a sheepdog, you are in the right place. So here's what we're going to do. So that's my kind of creed, that's motto. This is going to be called the Sheepdog Parent. I've actually found a place for Jack Bauer to be replicated. Going to look at getting some of these out to you guys. Whoop, Jack was scooting off the edge there. So my cyber sheepdog extraordinary now is going to come out. So hey, let's talk about today. About what I wanted to talk about. So we've heard the term happy wife, happy life. What does that mean? You guys who men are married, self-explanatory, right? What about when it comes to teenagers? 1 hour a day, less than 1 hour a day. That's what it takes to make teenagers happy. That does not mean that you kiss their butt, that you're taking them everywhere to make them happy. That's placating them. That's patronizing them. That's pandering. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what does it actually take to make a teenager happy? And it's less than 1 hour a day. So let's go to this story right now. Let me pull this up for you here and do my quick screen share. The happiest teens use smartphone and digital media less than an hour a day. Many of you have asked about guidelines, what it would take. And here it is, folks. I mean, this is what I want to do is get beyond just opinion and say, what does the research show? I've also got some ones coming up on articles where I talk about the MRI scans of teenagers and the actual damage it does to their brains. So that'll be coming up probably on Monday. And Monday I'll be out in San Francisco at the RSA show. So I'll be doing this from sunny San Francisco, somewhere out there. So what does this article talk about? Well, this article is based on a study. It's based on a book, iGen. I read it by Professor Twang, San Diego State University. But here's what they did. They examined data on more than 1 million 8th, 10th, and 12th grade students participating in what's called the Monitoring the Future. They were surveyed on their overall level of happiness. And guess what? The authors found out that teens who spent more time hanging out with friends in person and less time texting or video chatting were happier than those who spent more time in front of a screen. It sounds self-explanatory, right? But now we're getting some very empirical evidence. In fact, there was a notable increase in overall life satisfaction for students who participated in more extracurricular activities or sports as those who read actual print publication. It's called a book, people. I've got one over here. Like this. It's called a book. I've got them on Kindle. Read a book. Get them to read a book. So they talk about, the research also believes that habitual use of smartphones or computers to socialize was a key factor in how happy a participant or how unhappy a participant felt. Right, so the key is limited use, limited use. And it says, even while this research says that a maximum of 2 hours a day, the study showed the happiest teens were those who spent a tad less than an hour a day, and it includes teens who did not use digital devices at all, which means some of the technology, which means some use of technology does make children happier. So there is a little bit of that, but like everything in moderation. But after that first hour, unhappiness rose steadily among participants as their total screen time increased. And when that would lead to unhappiness, we can start talking about leading to depression and suicide. The increased use of social media can make you depressed and unhappy, but being unhappy or depressed does not lead to increased use of social media. There's a difference there. So one does not always cause the other. So guess what? Not surprisingly, the authors pointed out that studies have shown self-esteem and life satisfaction dropped sharply after 2012. That's the year more than 50% of these kids had access to smartphones. So the advent of the smartphone, let me leave you with this final line. The advent of the smartphone is the most plausible explanation for the sudden decrease in teens' psychological well-being. So what does that mean to you guys? That means you are a sheepdog parent. Go back to what I said about the sheepdog. Denial, you cannot live in denial. There is no safety in denial. Oh, my kid's being quiet. That's denial. The more that they're on that thing, the more that it's hurting them. Would you sit here and let somebody beat up your kid for 2 hours? No. Why are you letting technology beat your kid up for 2 hours? Because you don't hear anything or see anything, and out of sight, out of mind. That's not what sheepdog parents do. Now, you got to take the initiative here. Part of being a sheepdog parent is being a sheepdog, not being the sheep, right? So, and if you ain't a sheepdog and if you ain't the lead dog, the view is all the same. Think about that for a minute. Anyway, so that's where it is. So, hey, guys, we're going to wrap up for today. Friday, it's a beautiful day. I got to get out into the Camaro. Jack Bauer and I are going to go somewhere, do something, whatever. It's just a beautiful day. It's going to hit 80 here today after all this winter. It's going to be great. Stay tuned. We've got a webinar coming up. I'll give you more details next week. I'll announce this on next Wednesday's show, probably. We'll be putting out information on Thursday, but it is a clinical psychologist. We are going to start talking about the actual impact and talk to somebody who deals with children and parents who are going through this stuff. In the meantime, all the free stuff is up here, up there, somewhere in here, in this loop around my face. You'll find all the free stuff. It's a password course, secure your accounts, my 5-week academy, become a warrior, so identity security warrior. So you'll see all the stuff down there, warrioracademy.us. As always, the link to the article that I used is here in the show notes. Make sure that you be the example every single day. Your kids are watching you. They're modeling you. And remember, be a sheepdog parent. You can be a sheep or a sheepdog. It takes courage to be a sheepdog parent. Right, Jack? Jack says, right. You can't hear Jack. He's stuffed. Right? So don't anybody. This is not Jeff Dunham. I'm not Jeff Dunham. All right? So until Monday, you guys all have a great weekend. Be the example. Be a sheepdog parent. I'll write out this manifesto. I'll also put it in the show notes later, and we'll go from there. Till Monday.